Hi there, my name's Vince from mymatevince.com, and in this video today we have another fix it video, another video where I buy something faulty on eBay and I do my best to fix it. Now, as I say in all these videos, I'm not a professional at this. I just like taking things apart and fixing it. I've got no previous professional knowledge, and what you see in this video will probably be the wrong way to do it. It's just the way that I go about doing it. Now, I think I know what's in here because of the shape and also the weight of it. And if it is what I think it is, on this particular one I am actually nervous, and I'll tell you why. If, for example, you're trying to fix a PSP and you buy it off eBay for £8 or £9, if you get it all wrong, does it really matter? No, because it's only £8 or £9. But what I've spent here is a ridiculous amount of money, because in here, you can probably already tell by the title, but in here we have, here it is, a broken Nintendo Switch. Now, I've done a lot of work on Nintendo Switches, meaning that a lot of, trying to make different controllers work on it and all different things on the Nintendo Switch, but I have never taken one apart. So it makes me a little bit nervous, not to taking it apart, not because I'm worried about my skills, even though I am worried about my skills, more the fact that I've had to spend a huge amount of money on this. Now, unfortunately, Nintendo Switches broken are really expensive. Now, when I was growing up, second-hand things, there was a general rule that you paid a third of the price. So, for example, if something cost £30 new, you'd be expecting to pay around about £10 second-hand. But that is not the case with the Nintendo Switch. If it was, you'd be looking at around about 100 UK pounds. But to win this, I've had to pay £155 for the actual item itself, and then £5 for delivery. So £160, and I can get this brand new for £280. So you can see it's really expensive. Now let me just show you the listing. Nintendo Switch won't charge for spares or repair, and it says here, Nintendo Switch perfect condition apart from the fact it won't charge. If you know how to fix it, you've got a bargain. Not really a bargain, but comes with two Joy-Con dock and Joy-On holder. So obviously the the Joy-Con grip. It will come to you very well packaged. Right, okay, it doesn't come with the actual power supply, which makes me a little bit nervous, because I'm wondering if this is more like a bricked Nintendo Switch, because maybe they used a third-party power supply rather than the official Nintendo one. Maybe that one broke or a dog chewed through it, and then they got one of the cheaper, third-party ones. And since the 5.0 update, there's been numerous reports of Nintendo Switches bricking, even though my one never has. I can plug anything into mine, but I still don't have a third-party power supply. So all my portable docks never caused any issue, but if it's linked to power supply, then I've only ever used the official Nintendo one, so maybe that's why I never had an issue. So, do I feel confident with this one? If I'm honest with you, no I don't. And if it turns out, let's say if it's the motherboard that's gone on this, I haven't even looked up the price of them, but I've got a feeling they're going to be over £100, even if you can get them. So, why have I done this? Well, because a lot of people asked for this video. I thought it would be an interesting one, but as well as that, I can also do how-to videos on, for example, how to change the HD rumble in the Joy-Con. Or, I haven't looked in this yet, and I haven't even actually watched a video of how to take it apart. But let's hope that it's modular on the inside, so how to change the headphone jack, that sort of thing. So I will hopefully be able to make my money back long term. Will I make my money back on this video if I can't fix this? Absolutely not, because these videos are not going to get the views that's going to pay this amount of money. So that's why I'm nervous on this, and that's why I love doing things like this, because there's no risk involved. Not so happy about doing this, but you never know, I might be lucky, and it could be just the fact that it might be, might need to be reset, for example. You might need to hold down the power button for like 10-12 seconds. Right, okay, so let's have a look at this condition. Well, okay, well, it's a bit dusty, but doesn't appear to be any major marks on it. A few scratches here. No game in there. I'll have to have a close look in here. it could be faulty because maybe it's been maybe somebody jammed something up there rather than using the proper charger. It all looks a little bit grubby, but hopefully that will all just clean up. Right, so there's no power on these, which could be a good thing. Maybe it hasn't been done in a while. It would be nice if it was an easy fix. Feel okay. Just wondering why there was no charger. Why would you have everything apart from the charger? Well, they certainly haven't cleaned it, so but it does just look like dust rather than, you know, a lot of grime and stuff. You know, I don't mind that. I'd kind of rather an honest one like that rather than something that looked perfectly clean and already had been taken apart, you know, by other people trying to fix it previously. It all looks okay. Well, I'm just going to get a bit of a cloth just to give it a wipe. There's no little straps either that go onto the Joy-Cons. Again, not a problem. In fact, I'm kind of pleased that they're not in there, because maybe the people were just a little bit more, you know, maybe they didn't look after their stuff as much, and maybe they've mislaid the charger and the straps as well, because if the straps were in there, then I'd wonder why it was just the charger. But now that the straps are missing as well, maybe they've just, you know, been mislaid in the house somewhere. Right, okay, I'm going to get a cloth, just give this a little clean up, and then I'm going to get my charger from my working switch and plug it in and see what happens. Okay, so I've given it a good clean, and yeah, most of it is just dust and stuff. It actually does look to be in very good condition. There's a very, very tiny little mark there, but apart from that, it does look good. I've just used a dry cloth, so I haven't used any wet cloth yet. But, you know, if I use a bit slightly wet cloth, all those fingerprints will come off it. But it does look in good condition. You know, the kickstand and stuff works nice and correctly. This doesn't look like it's been well used for over a year. Do you know what I mean? It looks to be in good nick. Unfortunately, there's no SD card there. Looking at the Joy-Cons, they're almost perfect. If you look at this one here, it does look like the switch might have been dropped, or this might have been taken off a bit violently at some stage. Because if you just look at the top there, it's very common to have these chip. If you either put the straps on the wrong way round, you don't take them off properly time after time, you don't press this button in fully, or you drop your Nintendo Switch. So there's a slight chip out of that one there, but then this one here is perfect. If you have a look at that little latch there, let it focus in, there we go, that one's perfect. So they all look to be okay. You can now get metal replacements for them. But it's still on. Well, there you go. You see, you don't have to press the button on that one, but you have to press the button on this one. And that's what happens when that top bit is chipped. But it's not like my my Switch where you can just knock them off. Not anymore, because I've changed the metal things. But a slight bit of wear there. But you know, that can happen within a few days of having your Switch. This is still there, so it hasn't got a huge amount of wear down there. Right, okay, so the moment of truth. I'll tell you what, I might as well leave these on here. I've got my power supply here. Let's plug it in and see what happens. I actually feel slightly nervous doing this, which is ridiculous. Right, okay. Let's see what's going to happen. Right, nothing. There's no charging light coming on at all, which is exactly what the listing said. It said it does not charge. Right, okay, I'm going to leave that in there. Do you know what I think I'll do? Before I do anything, I am just going to leave that in there for 5 or 10 minutes, just in case the battery was completely depleted. I just want to give it a charge, because there's no point in me messing around holding down the power and stuff like that just yet. Let's just do the sensible thing. And the time now is, there you go, it's 5 to 11. Let's come back at 10 past 11. Okay, so I left it a little bit longer than I thought I would. What time is it? About 25 minutes. So unfortunately there's still no charging icon up there. So it definitely isn't taking a charge. I was wondering whether it was just going to be a case of, let's say if it was being discharged completely, if the switch was left sat idle for a while and it was fully run down, then it might take a while charging to get that initial charge into the battery before it can start charging. Right, okay, let's hold down the power button, see if anything happens. No, still nothing. Let's see if there's any power in these. Nope. So I wonder, is it a faulty charge port down here? I mean, I can't see anything bent up in it, but yeah, not sure. Right, okay, let's hold down the power button for around 10 to 15 seconds. See if that does anything. No, nothing at all. Right, I'm going to try maintenance mode, where you hold down the plus and the minus on the volume and then press the power button. No, it's just completely dead. Right, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug this into the dock and then just dock it. It shouldn't make any difference, but just in case. No, nothing's happening there. Right, okay, before I take it apart, I'm going to get my Switch and I'm going to just, you know, swap over the Joy-Cons, do stuff like that, just to see if we can find out maybe if the Joy-Cons are working. Right, okay, let's pop off these Joy-Cons. Okay, well that made the noise. And that made the noise as well, so they're coming up with the correct colours, so it doesn't look like they've been messed around with on a PC, changing the colours or anything like that. Yeah, that's fine. Let me just check the battery status on them. Yeah, and they're both completely flat and they're both charging, you can see there. So, okay, so it looks like the Joy-Cons are alright. I'm just going to quickly check the buttons on them. 100% the Joy-Cons are working okay, but there's just going to not be enough power. Yeah, there we go. Low battery though, it says. Battery depleted. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so they do appear to be working wirelessly. It's just that the battery's completely gone on them. So hopefully once they're charged up for a while, then it will start working again. Right, okay, so we know that the Joy-Cons are okay, so that's one good thing. I presume the batteries will charge themselves back up. Now let me see, let me just check out this dock, and then I can work out bit by bit what is faulty and if it is just the switch itself. Using the faulty one now, but with the good switch. Okay, so the dock is definitely working. And looks like Fortnite's doing its Season 5 update. Right, okay, so the dock's working, the Joy-Cons are working, there's just an issue with the switch itself. So what I think I'm going to do is take it apart and see if I can measure any voltage on the battery, and then see if anything makes sense. I mean, it'd be lovely if the connector had just fallen off, but that's going to be highly unlikely. Right, okay, so if you can see, it's still completely dead. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to undo 4 little tri-wing screws at the back. And a tri-wing screwdriver is a special Nintendo screwdriver, and if you have a look, it's got like 3 points to it. Now, looking at these screws very closely, it doesn't look like they've been taken apart before. So hopefully I might be the first one into this switch, so it will be more chance of fixing it. Because obviously if it's been taken apart before, then the previous people might have deemed it as unrepairable. I'm just looking at the screws as I take them out, and if they're the same, I'm going to keep them together. There we go. Right, okay. Oh wow, you can see the dust there where it's been sucked up. Yeah, so remember I said that it was quite dusty, so maybe this house was dusty, but you can see exactly where the exhaust, so it gets sucked in, so it looks like more goes through here and then goes out the exhaust there. So it looks like this fan here, this vent, is the one that gets used the most. And again, yeah, if you have a look at these little bits of black tape, they're basically just so the silver doesn't shine through the grill. You know, with the holes here, it looks nice when it's black inside rather than silver. But again, if you have a look at the tape here, you can see how dusty it is. So that says to me that this probably hasn't been taken apart before. Right, so now I've got to get rid of this shield here. I'm going to take out this little SD card slot thing here. Check all these screws, see if they're the same or not. Yeah, they all look to be the same. Wow, that came off real easy. Right, it's just a bit of sticky pad that's keeping it there. Well, okay. Yeah, okay, well that's still nice and soft, so I can hopefully reuse that because I haven't got any off that. If you have a look now, should really take those ribbon cables out, but if you have a look, I've got the bigger contacts on the actual board so I can go across them. Oh, okay, there's a little water indicator there. Can you see that white thing with the red dots? I'm hoping that it's supposed to look like that. And I mean, does it go completely red when it's wet, or I'm not too sure. Anything there? That battery looks completely dead. Or am I just not measuring it right? I really don't know. Okay, let's tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to plug in the charger and see if I can see any voltage maybe going into it. I'm presuming I'm alright to do this. The only thing I've not got plugged in is this. Let's just plug this back in, just in case that does make a difference. I'm sure it doesn't, but... Okay, so that's back in there now. So apart from the back being off, I think it's the same as it was. So let's plug this in. Now I hope I don't blow anything now. It's doing something, I don't really know what it's doing though. Right, okay, let me go into the inner red and the outer black. No, and the inner black and the outer red. Right, okay, well, that's weird because if it was a faulty battery you would expect the power to be getting there. Or then again, does the grey thing need to signal that there's enough charge in the battery to then start charging up? You know, does the grey wire need to tell the switch that yes, there's enough power in here to safely charge me? Right, because the back cover's easy to take off, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take apart my working switch and then I'm going to just see if I can unplug the battery and plug it onto here, because then that will tell me whether there's power or not. Because this battery, there might be nothing wrong with this battery, so is it worth me taking this out and damaging it? Because I looked up the price of these. For me to get one of these now delivered this week would cost me I think it was £31, so they're not exactly cheap. And it's not coming out easy, so I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take apart my good switch and use the battery from that without undoing anything. Just undo this and clip it over. So that normally goes that way with a positive here, so I've twisted that round. So that should now just about fit. Whoa. Spark there, didn't it? The right way round. Right to there. There we go, we're in. Right, okay, so it's going to be hard to see. Let me just turn it on. See if anything happens. Oh yes, look at that. There's the logo. Come on, come on, come on. Definitely came up with a Nintendo logo. There we go, Nintendo Switch. Right, okay, so yes, that's good, but why What I have to do now is I have to put that faulty battery on my good switch and see what happens then. Could it be a faulty battery? Yes, there's a chance. Or could it be the fact that some sort of charging circuit's gone on it? But anyway, it's good that the screen's not cracked or anything. That's the start. I don't have much luck with Nintendo products and cracked screens. Got the right shakes. Hold on. Try to move this around. I can't actually. I need to get some sort of insulation down here because I don't want the boards to touch each other. But you can just see it there anyway. It's not doing anything else though, just yet. No, this isn't good. Look, it's just come up with Nintendo. It's not doing anything else. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down the power button. I'm sure you guys want to see a better angle of this, don't you? Let me see if I can take this camera off. There we go. Right, let's hold down the power button. Well, it didn't make a good noise, did it? And it didn't... Right, okay, let's see now. See, that first bit is normal. The last time it just hung on this screen here. Right. Let me see if I can plug the charger in the bottom. Surely it wouldn't be heating up that quick, would it, without the, without the thermal paste and stuff. It wouldn't need the shield on the back, I presume. Get this in, I need to lift them both up. There we go. No, it's not charging. See at the top there, it's not doing anything. Right, let's turn it off again. Don't like the way that's turning on and off either. Right, I'm going to try to hold down the plus and minus and then turn it on, try to put it into maintenance mode. It's not doing anything, it's just hanging on that screen there. Right, okay, and it's still not charging. So with the good battery, it's still not charging. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put the bad, let's call it the bad battery from the bad console onto my good switch and see if it will charge on there. Goes there, red there. Spin this one round. Right, okay, so it's the bad battery on the good console. Okay, so there's no power there, so the battery is completely drained. Let's see if it will charge up though when I plug it in. Yes, it will, look. Right, okay, so I think the sensible thing to do would be to leave this now and let's get some charge in that faulty battery. Well, suspected faulty battery, but it doesn't look like the battery is faulty. So obviously this looks like it's going to be, annoyingly, it looks like it's going to be something major again, doesn't it? Because it's not the battery. Because this battery looks like it's now charging, and also when we put the good battery in the faulty switch, we do have something on the screen, which is good news, but it's not going past that Nintendo Switch, you know, so it's not booting up basically. I haven't done any research. Maybe again this is a common problem. Maybe I should spend a bit. What I'll do is I'm going to insulate this a bit better so it doesn't short out here, and then I'm going to spend a bit of time on Google and find out, you know, people that have problems where they can't get past that Nintendo Switch logo screen and see the reason why. I mean, again, this could it be bricked? Does it come up with maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's bricked. Maybe this is all to do with that update, you know, on the 5.0. I need to go back because I didn't pay a huge amount of attention. I knew it was happening, but I didn't actually look at what happens to the Switch. People have said that, you know, the Switch has failed to work, but is that what happens? It just goes to the Nintendo Switch screen and then stops working. A bit strange though how it's not even charging up. I mean, again, it would be unlikely to have numerous faults on this. But right, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to... any problems? Okay, so I'm just going to tidy up these screws that I just knocked over, and then I'm going to go on to Google and find out exactly what the symptoms are of a bricked switch, and then I can work out what's what. Okay, so I've been doing my research over on Google and YouTube and Reddit, and this is pointing all towards a bricked switch that's stuck in a boot loop. And a lot of people are saying it's a particular chip that's faulty. I'll try and point it out on the board in a minute. So, but then there's other people that said they've just let the battery drain completely and then charged it up, blah blah blah, and then it started working again. So I obviously don't know the seller that sold this. If they've obviously looked into it, then they would have done all those things already. So I think it's going to be highly unlikely that I can get this fixed. There is a company that will change out this particular chip for, I think it's £100, which will bring this up to the price of a brand new Switch. So that's not really a good option. I can't actually find a UK seller of this particular chip, even if I had like the proper reflow station to put it on, but I haven't. I've got a soldering iron with a big tip, so it's going to be unlikely that it's going to happen. But still, let's remember now we've got the battery from the faulty console in my good console, so let's now see what percentage it's at. Oh, excellent, looks 61%. So it is holding its charge. It appears to be okay. Let's unplug that and plug it in again. So at least I know the battery's okay. So even if I just had to use this switch for spares, it's probably still going to be worth it if you were to add up the Joy-Cons, the battery, and you know, the other modular things in it. I'm not sure how much modular things are in it, but things like the speakers and stuff. You know, I might make the money back from it over the years, but I'm not going to give up just yet. But I do think that I'm dealing with a bricked switch. And you know, did the seller know it was bricked? I really don't know. I would like to think they didn't, but then again, maybe they did. Right, okay, so let's turn this off now. Because we've got a bit of charge in this battery, I can now just play with it straight in the faulty console without having to do this dodgy thing that I'm doing here, because obviously I don't want to break my working switch. And now I can just concentrate on this one here. So let's plug this back in. Went that way around, didn't it? Right, so we're in there now. I had such hope when I first of all seen that Nintendo screen. And the videos I've watched, it just gets frozen on this screen here. Yeah, which is doing exactly the same again. So the faulty chip, I believe, is... yes, well, you know, I'm only going by what a user said on Reddit, but if you have a look at this chip here, just zoom in. So this is a USB-C port down here, and it's this one here, the M92T36. So that appears to be the faulty chip. On eBay, there are people selling a lot of these chips here, which are supposed to control the charging as well. So, not really sure about that one there. Thing is, here, again, I don't know, do I? I could end up getting, let's say if I was good at soldering, let's say if I had the proper equipment, and let's say if I did put a new one of these in, I don't really know if that's the thing that's at fault. I'm only going by very limited information online. You know, there could be something else which is also causing a fault. It could be this one and this one here. So realistically, I'm not really going to be able to prove anything unless I can find something obvious with something else. But it all seems to point to this going faulty by using third-party docks or power supplies. Right, so let's pop it in here. Right, and it should go to a solid green light, and then it will come up on screen. And then when I take it out, the light should go off. When I plug this one in, okay, well it didn't do it. Oh, there we go. Yeah, so it doesn't do anything for a few seconds, then starts flashing green. And that chip as well does apparently control, you see there's nothing coming up there, that chip does control the HDMI out as well, so I bet you it's that chip that's faulty. So let's turn it off. It's interesting how it keeps flashing though afterwards. I'll tell you what, I'm going to do something a bit risky now. I'm going to put my good switch into there while it's flashing and see if it will still output to the TV. It made the popping sound that time when I turned it off. Right, so it's still flashing down there. Yeah, can you see it hasn't docked? So it kind of throws the dock into disarray as well, doesn't it? Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's working fine. Right, okay, that's interesting. It's interesting that the dock doesn't reset itself. So I appreciate you're probably not learning much here as far as fixing anything is concerned, but at least you will see the symptoms of what I'm having, and then you will know then if you're having the same symptoms that if I do eventually find the problem, you will it will hopefully help you out then. Right, okay, what else to do? I'm going to see if there's a way of doing, there's a weird combination of buttons. I need to look it up again, but it kind of puts it into some like update mode, so I need to just watch back one of my videos to work out what that combination was again. Turn it off, and then there's this weird combination you have to do where you have to hold down the minus, then the power, then take your finger off the minus onto the plus, and then off the power, but you keep holding the plus. So this might not work the first time. Right, okay, so holding down the minus, what is it now? Hold down the minus, then the power, and then take it off the minus onto the plus, off the power, but keep holding the plus until the Nintendo screen comes up. Yes, yes, come on. Please do something. Mind you, it's not going to be connected to my internet, is it? So, it's not going to be able to update itself. Oh, this is a bit different. Come on, go off. No, that should have gone by now. So, yeah, that's annoying. Do you know what I might do? I've got to go pick up my son from school now. I think I'm going to connect this up to Ethernet, because I can't remember if you connect up to Ethernet whether you have to actually connect it up to the internet, you know, whether there's any, you have to change any settings. So when I come back, I'm going to do that again, and I'm going to connect it up to the internet just to see. I'm really clutching at straws now. I know in my heart of hearts that it is that chip that's gone faulty, because this is just another classic one that's been bricked and has just been sold on eBay. Knowingly or unknowingly, I don't know, but It's just kind of weird because whenever you buy something gaming related on eBay, it always seems to be dodgy, which is upsetting. But yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to connect up an Ethernet cable when I get back home, and then I'm going to do this thing again. So while I'm away, just for safety, I'm going to unplug everything, and then we'll come back to it later. Okay, so let's try this Ethernet cable. Let's see if this makes any difference. So plug it into there. I'm going to use a USB 3 version. Plug that into there. Right, and let's do that weird boot up thing again. So we do minus, power, off, onto the plus, off the power, but keep it on the plus. And now we let go. Right, let's see if it does anything now with the Ethernet cable plugged in. Now I presume if it was going to do anything it would start moving across here, but it's not. It doesn't look like it's going to do anything. No. I wonder if this is where possibly when you join those pins together in the Joy-Con, you know, with that little hack that they do to get into the switch, I wonder whether that would make any difference. So it's not even coming up here as connecting. Just going to make sure this is working by putting it onto my working switch. Yeah, the lights have come on, but they only come on when I get to this screen here. Right, okay. That's a shame. Right, okay, so I'm going to have to take this apart, get the board out, and then see if I can see anything else. I'm pretty certain it is going to be that chip, but I need to just do a little bit of testing just in case it was something else. But I'm pretty certain now that this is a bricked switch. Connection for the speaker. There we go. Right, okay, so I'm going to get my multimeter out and I'm just going to go across various different things. Okay, so I'm just going across the different things, just checking for continuity. So what I'm going to do is, because it is actually quite easy to get this apart, the battery I found hard, but the rest of it's quite easy. I'm going to take the main board out of the working Nintendo Switch and I'm going to have them both side by side. I'm going to make a note of which one is which, so I'm going to look at some of the serial numbers and then you know, make sure I know which is the faulty one and the good one. And then I'm actually just going to go across every single component on both of them just to see if I can see if there's any difference or not. Now I appreciate it's not going to make a difference on any of the chips because I don't really know how to test them, but maybe on the other components I might be able to see, just in case it is, you know, some sort of faulty resistor or fuse or something like that. I know it's unlikely, but again I think it's worth trying and it's worth spending a bit of time on this because I can't buy replacement boards anyway. So this is a good switch now, and I've taken all the insides out, and you can definitely leave the battery in place, so that's not a problem if you need to do this in the future. Right, okay, so I've got the two boards now. This is the good board on this side and the bad board on this side, and I'm just going to go between them on each component just to see if I notice any differences between the bad one and the good one. For example, what I'm hoping to find is that there might be continuity on this one, but not continuity on this one on one or more of the components, and then I might have a better idea of what's going on. Interestingly enough, both boards are actually ever so slightly different, so they're very similar to each other, slight colour difference, but even the layout of some of the stuff is a little bit different. So if you were to have a look at this bit here, you can see, yeah, we've got three, excuse me, I don't know what they're called, but let's say these 3 black squares here, and then if you look at this one, there's still 3 black squares, but they're in a different orientation. Yeah, so if you have a look there, you can see that they are a little bit different. So there is slight differences between them, which is quite interesting considering it's only been out for, you know, a year and so many months. So, for example, what I'm doing is, if I was to go across here, let me just get it the right way around. So this is the good one, good, bad. So if I was to go across here, then I would go to the same component here. And then I would just go across each one. To see if there's any differences. So that's what's going to keep me busy now for the next while, and I will come back to this in a bit. Right, okay, I found something interesting. This is the bad board that I'm working on, and this is that suspect chip, you know, the one that has been mentioned on the internet. Now if you watch this, I've got this on continuity, so if I just hit the leads together, you can hear that there. You can hear the sound. Now, if I go onto these 2 little parts here, I don't know if they're resistors, but not sure what they are, so apologies for that. But listen, continuity and continuity, and again, if I go across all these, doesn't matter which way round I go, there's continuity. And even if I swap the leads, and also if I go to this ground here, or shield, or, you know, earth, and then again if I go across all of them, you can hear that there's continuity. But yet when I go onto the good board, that doesn't happen. So watch this. Right, okay, so this is the good board. Now watch here. So again, continuity. If I go on these ones here again, nothing, nothing. And even if I was to swap the leads around, can you hear there's nothing there? Let's swap them back again. And if I go across these parts, then if I go that way, there's nothing. Okay, so these 2 are that way round. But then if I swap the leads, now I know all of you who know what you're doing are shouting at me. It's obvious, Vince. You found the problem, but you don't know what you're doing. And that's the problem. I don't know if this is to do with these components or something beforehand. But can you see now it's not making a noise that way round? Yeah? And if I go across the shield, so let's swap the leads back, go across the shield and go across here, it does it this side, but not this side. I'm on the shield here. Yeah? So can you see it's different than the faulty one? What's also interesting is it is a slightly different layout as well. So if you have a look here, I'm going to call this a capacitor, but I don't know if it is. But there's only one here, and this is the good board. And if you have a look on this one here, there's actually 2. There's 2 here. So maybe, I know the bricking issue is to do with, you know, using third party like either docks or power supplies, but maybe the issue, because it's never happened to me on my good switch, maybe because this board is slightly different than the other one, maybe some boards are more susceptible to having them get bricked if the components are ever slightly different. I know they're all going to be made, you know, to the same spec, but if the tolerances are slightly different, I wonder, could that make a difference? So for example, this one does seem to have one extra one of these. I couldn't find this on the other one. Maybe I weren't looking in the right place, but there's definitely something interesting going on here. That's the only difference I could find, so I am tempted to maybe get one of these chips. Now, I don't know whether it's this chip here, because I've kind of gone across different pins here, and I've tried to, you know, like compare it to the working one, but I don't know whether it's this chip here that's causing all these things to kind of ground together, or are all these faulty and do these need replacing? So that's the only, well, not the only thing, there's loads of things that's confusing me, but I wonder if I was to get this replaced or try somehow to do it myself, I wonder whether that would then fix the issue here, or is this a separate issue? Maybe this is okay and maybe the fault is with these things here. So I'm a little bit confused about that at the moment, and I'm not sure where to go now, whether to try and order one of these up from China or America, and then, you know, maybe get myself one of those £80 kind of reflow stations from Amazon and give it a go. Right, okay, I think I've just worked it out, and I know it's going to be glaringly obvious to people who know how to do this, but I'm not one of them. And now this makes sense. Right, I was wondering before whether these were faulty or not, but let's just think about it a minute. This side on this side here on the good one goes to ground or earth or whatever you want to call it. Basically, let's call it the negative. I don't know if that's the right terminology. Now, if, for example, this one was faulty here, it's not going to make all the others faulty as well. But now, when I look through the camera lens, I can see that every one of these are actually linked into this chip. So you can see there's a little trace there going to that pin, little trace there going to that pin. That one there goes to, I'm not sure, maybe this one here. In which case then, this is the only common denominator. So let's say if this is broken down in here and it's gone from, let's say, live to ground, then it's going to make everything that's attached to it also go to ground, isn't it? Because now if this is grounds here, it is going to go to grounds here and here and here. So these can't be faulty, the fault must be on this here. So I think what I'm going to do is, I think I am actually going to take this chip, maybe get a Dremel tool and cut along here, cut along here, cut along here and cut along here. And then I should find that once I get rid of all these little bits of solder or the legs, I should find then that these are no longer going to ground. I think now, I'm almost 100% sure that it's this that is faulty, because this is forcing it to go to ground, and that's the reason the Nintendo Switch isn't going past that initial thing, because it's failing here. So now I'm really tempted to get one of these and try to fix it. Okay, so I did invest in a hot air rework station from Amazon for 80 quid. Also comes with a soldering iron here. And I like it because you can adjust the temperature and everything. I've got a lot to learn. Now, I did manage to get the chip off, but in doing so, I also managed to remove a few of the other components nearby as well. Obviously, because I'm no good at this, perhaps maybe the nozzle was a little bit on the big side. If you compare that to the chip there, maybe the nozzle was too big. So I've also ordered up some smaller nozzles, and then hopefully with a bit of practice, maybe after I've done this maybe 10 or 20 times, I might start getting the hang of it. Also, quite a few of you viewers have mentioned other YouTube channels that I can watch where I can learn more about this stuff. But there you go, you can see it now. Now, interestingly enough, when I do go across with my meter, it's no longer shorting. So obviously this chip here was definitely shorting to earth. So I'm almost, well, when I say earth, I mean, you know, ground or negative or whatever it's called. But I'm very confident that the chip is faulty. Now, this is beyond repair. I won't be able to fix this because I've lost some of those other little components. I won't know which way they go back on again. So as far as I'm concerned now, this is just going to be used for spares or repair. And although it's been a failure, I have actually enjoyed doing it, and now I am confident taking apart the Switch. Obviously, I'm not confident doing any motherboard repairs, but at least now, if I was to look into other Switches, I can get ones with faulty Joy-Con rails, or faulty batteries, or faulty speakers, maybe faulty fans, faulty headphone jacks, that kind of thing. So, although this didn't work for me this time, I have actually learnt a lot, and I did enjoy it. So, yeah, unfortunately, I can't show you a working Switch at the end because I've completely and utterly mucked this up, but still, that's the way it goes. At least you've seen what a brick Switch looks like. Now, do I believe that the seller was genuine in this instance? Not so sure, because, you know, it just said that it wouldn't charge. But the thing is, it's a lot more than not charging. They must have realised before the battery completely depleted that it wouldn't turn on. So obviously, if the listing said it doesn't turn on, and now it's run out of battery, it won't charge, then that would give people a bit more information, and then they might have realised it was bricked. But just to say it doesn't charge is correct. They're not lying, but they're also missing other information as well. So this might have been one of those eBay ones where somebody's just, you know, given as little information as possible, making out they don't know the real cause. I think probably that they did fully know that it was bricked, but still, you know, it doesn't matter. The switch itself is good. Also now, if I was to get a switch with a broken screen, I'd be able to reuse this screen, because from the little bit I've seen, the screen seems to be in good condition and seems to work. So unfortunately, I can't show you a working switch, but still, hopefully you've learned something in this video. I've definitely learned a lot in it. So please give it a thumbs up if you liked it, and please subscribe for more how-to videos. Take care. Bye now.